everybody, Lindsay here, and today's video is going to be a little different. All the different movies that I have in this room, I want to share all of them with you. So going forward, every once in a while, I'm just going to grab something off the shelf, watch it, and come tell you all about it. And the first movie we're going to take a look at is not a VHS. I know. It's a DVD. But it has VHS vibes to it.
The explosive thriller that takes the action to the limit and beyond. One Man Force.
Yes, it's One Man Force, starring John Matuzak. And if you don't know who John Matuzak is, he played Sloth in The Goonies.
Rocky Road?
And the front of the case says, Jake Swan, narcotics detective, 6'8", 280 pounds, 21-inch biceps, and a 55-inch chest. No one enforces the law like he does. First of all, let's talk about who else is in this movie besides John Matuzak. Because as the credits started to pop up, I just got more and more excited. Because also in this movie is, first, Ronnie Cox from RoboCop, Total Recall, Beverly Hills Cop. Then we have Charles Napier from The Blues Brothers, Rambo First Blood Part 2. He's Murdoch.
Murdoch. I'm coming to get you.
Sharon Farrell, who you may not have heard of, but I've heard of her because she's from my neck of the woods. She is from Iowa. She was in Night of the Comet. She was in Lone Wolf McQuade, which is one of my favorite B movies. She was in It's Alive. Robert Tessier, who he's been in so many things, Cannonball Run, etc., etc., etc. Just a prolific B movie actor. And a very recognizable face. And then we get our final acting credit, and it's Richard Lynch. You probably know him from Invasion USA, Night Force, Barbarians. The guy has like 164 acting credits. He was working all the way up to his death in 2012 when he did Lords of Salem. All signs are pointing to this being a great watch. But we'll find out. The way the movie opens up is we get, these big chopper shots of downtown LA. It's very 80s crime cop music in the background. And then we cut to a guy, we don't know who he is, it's just a guy in a car pulling up behind a building in the alley, and he puts a mask on, like pantyhose kind of thing. And then he goes and breaks into the building. And I mean that literally, because he pulls a metal grate out of concrete to gain access. And he sneaks into this building, which we find out is a bar. And in the bar is Sharon Farrell. She's the bartender. She also has the same haircut that I did when I was 9. And another guy who seems to be her significant other. And sitting at the bar, drunk as a skunk, is Buck Flowers.
Shit, is that orgy then?
Yeah, I found him curled up next to the morning paper.
Now this guy that broke in starts sneaking up, and all of a sudden he pulls the gun.
Your history, sucker.
But wouldn't you know, there's some other person in the bar who starts shooting back and just shooting everyone he can.
Gotcha, sucker!
It turns out that the guy who broke in is John Matuzak. And Sharon Farrell and the other guy, he knows. The other guy is his partner on the police force. And the other shooter is Sharon Farrell and the partner's son. And they do this like as a game. It's fun to them.
How did you know I was here?
Easy, man. I saw you drive up.
get you, you little...
It's just paintball guns. But then we get a little bit of dialogue from Buck Flowers, and then he disappears from the movie. So we don't get a lot of him, but hey, I'll take Buck Flowers any way I can get him.
I've been shot.
No, you haven't.
And it was this scene where I started getting this sinking feeling, like, oh no, this isn't gonna be good.
Gee, Mom, I'm late. I gotta get to school.
Yeah, and we gotta go see McCoy. We do? Yeah. Oh, we do. Honey, we gotta go see the lieutenant. I forgot to tell you that.
Oh, no, you don't. You're gonna help me clean up this place, or I'm gonna shoot all of you for real.
Oh, for real, huh?
Yeah.
This is gonna be really bad. And I didn't know what kind of bad it was gonna be. It was either gonna be just horrible, nothing redeeming about it, or it was going to be so bad that it was enjoyable. But I had no idea yet. And the dialogue was just really weird because they're like a family, kind of, I gather.
You started that.
Me? I was just paying Pete back for shooting me on the toilet yesterday.
Dad caught you on the kid.
It's just very awkward with really bad dialogue and really bad acting. The acting is bad. It's bad. But buckle up, because we're just getting started.
Young man, get to work. Get this stuff. Yeah, come on, let's clean this up.
So John Matuszak and his partner head off to the cop shop. They gotta go talk to their captain because an informant of theirs has told them that there's this big drug deal coming in, going down on the docks in some warehouse. It always goes down on the docks. And they want to be there to bust them, but they need to get their captain, Ronnie Cox, they got to get his permission. And his partner is like, John Matuszak, let me do the talking. You're kind of a hothead. Let me do the talking. But he doesn't. They plead their case to Ronnie Cox. John Matuszak very impassionedly asked him, please, can we go murder some people?
Everything points to that warehouse. Therefore, we strongly recommend that you seriously consider our request.
And Ronnie Cox is like, absolutely not. No search warrant for you, no backup for you.
You're full of shit, Jake. You've got nothing.
Circumstantial evidence. Wild supposition. Bring me facts.
And this really pisses John Matuszak off.
You want facts? How about bodies dropping like flies out there? Little kids 12 and 13.
This is where I start to realize that he is going to be pretty much one speed through the whole movie. And that is angry.
Fuck him!
He's kind of like the Hulk. He's this huge dude having trouble expressing his emotions. And he's angry all the time.
I'm there!
Hulk angry.
I'm there as hell!
So they decide they're just going to go do it anyways.
No search warrant, no backup. This is crazy.
Sound like an old woman. Fuck you.
They're gonna go meet with their informant Chico to let them pass the perimeter so that they can go bust this Mexican drug lord.
Why are you nervous, Chico?
I'm not.
If this fucks up, I'm gonna blow off your fucking head and shoot in your throat.
But wouldn't you know it, it's a double cross. It's a setup. And a bunch of gunfire explodes everywhere. There's a guy in the ceiling up in the rafters shooting down. There's other people with guns. And tragically, John Matuszak's partner takes it in the chest. And this makes John Matuszak so angry that he kills a guy with a fridge. But the Mexican drug lord gets away.
Pete, buddy.
And at this part, I got really confused because there's a little bit of a time jump. John Matuszak wakes up from a nightmare about his partner being shot to death. And then we cut to Sharon Farrell, drunk and depressed at her bar with a bunch of bottles and glasses all around her. She's face down, passed out, completely distraught. And then we see John Matuszak enter frame, and he's still wearing his pajamas. So he walked from his bedroom to the bar to get her, and then he takes her from the bar and walks her to her bedroom. So they all live in the same building, and that building is also connected to the bar. It's kind of weird. He's putting her in bed, and she's like, stay with me, Jake, just until I fall asleep. And she falls asleep on him, and he doesn't want to move and disturb her, so he ends up falling asleep too. But wouldn't you know it, the son character walks in, sees them in bed together.
Mom?
Oh, great.
Wonderful.
Nothing happened, but he stumbles in with his mother and his father's partner, his dead father's partner, in bed together. He gets a little upset. But now John Matuszak starts trying to find some answers. He wants to know who double-crossed him, who is responsible for his partner's death. So he starts cracking skulls. The violence in this movie is very Looney Tunes, which I can appreciate. But we see him bust into this van full of gang members, and we just see the outside of the van, and it starts shaking, and then people start getting thrown out the windows. It's like a bear got into their van or something is how this thing is shot. And then he goes into jail, into the police department jail, and starts beating people up in their cells trying to get information. He's a menace. He's a 6'8" menace. So like 10 cops run in and grab him and stop him from beating this prisoner. And so he's in big trouble, and him and Ronnie Cox have this scene in Ronnie Cox's office. He's dressing him down, trying to dress him down for his behavior. But all this scene is the two of them face to face just shouting at each other at the same volume. Like there's no intonation or feeling behind any of this. It's just all volume.
Assault and battery, disobeying orders. Who the hell do you think you are?
I'm a cop! My partner was a cop! And you didn't back us up!
I don't know what we're yelling about!
So he gets suspended.
Well, that's it. You're suspended.
And he heads home, but first he stops and gets groceries, and then heads home to the bar house. Gives the groceries to Sharon Farrell, and she's like, hey, there's a dude here looking for you. He wants to talk to you.
Oh, great. Thanks for going to the store for me. That was sweet. Oh, some guy came in and he's waiting for you over there. And he says he's got a job for you.
And evidently, while all this stuff was going on, some rock star chick got kidnapped. Mid-performance, by the way. And this guy says he's her manager and offers Jake $5,000 to go find her. A bit of side work while he's on suspension. So he takes the job.
I can use a cop like you.
But then Sharon Farrell tells John Matuszak, hey, my son is upstairs and those hoodlum kids are with him again and the door's shut and I don't know what's going on. Can you go take care of it? And this was the first scene where I realized that they had a lot of issues with framing shots in this movie because of the size of John Matuszak. He is a huge individual, especially compared to the other people in this movie. So trying to fit characters in a scene, in frame with him at the same time is proving very difficult. So there's a lot of odd angles, and you can really tell that they struggled to compose some of these shots. It gets a little silly.
Ronnie,
Open this door now.
But John Matuzak goes up there, he's banging on the door, he's like, you better fucking let me in. These kids pour out and they're like, fuck you. They got an attitude. And John Matuzak smells dope. And he knows what dope smells like. He's a narcotics officer.
I'm gonna have to kick your ass.
You know, you and Mom get ripped every night. You're a couple of fucking drunks.
Don't talk to me about your mother like this.
We get the after school special that we didn't even know we needed.
Why don't you just leave?
I'm just trying to help.
Yeah, I know. Look, I gotta go.
I love you, kid.
And this kid had some balls on him, let me tell you, because he is giving it right back to John Matuzak. He is screaming back at John Matuzak, all 6'8", 280 pounds, 21-inch biceps, 55-inch chest. He's standing there shouting at this mountain of a man.
You're gonna end up in goddamn jail.
You are a fucking asshole, man.
So not only does John Matuzak have to deal with trying to find his partner's killer and this rock star chick, but also the son character, he's having some issues. He needs a fatherly figure to give him some guidance. But he doesn't have time to do that right now. He's got to earn this $5,000. So he goes to the police department downstairs to the evidence lady and flirts with her a bunch. And again, this is where the framing is a bit of an issue. So they like make him squat down so that he can look through the grate window to have dialogue with her. And it looks so awkward and uncomfortable. But he asks her like, hey, can you show me the evidence from this kidnapping? I just need a starting point. Just give me something. Give me anything. And she shows him a little bag of evidence and there's a matchbook in there. And it's a matchbook from a bar, and this bar is called the Blue Leather Bar. And instantly my mind went to Police Academy. So John Matuzak goes to the Blue Leather Bar. And tries to blend in, which is impossible for him. He is a giant, giant man. He is conspicuous. This big, giant, hairy man walks into this kink bar and is immediately noticed. He cannot blend in. He is noticed by everybody.
You like to be mean, don't you?
Get lost.
Including the Mexican drug lord, who just happens to be there. But the bar is like some goth BDSM-y, kinky kind of thing going on. There's people with spiked hair. There's a guy in a leather thong and dancing in like a bird cage. There's someone leading someone else around by a collar with a chain. It's a hip place. So the Mexican drug lord is like, I gotta get out of here. He sends his goons over to intercept John Matuzak so he can get away. And this is where the movie starts to show some promise again, because we get a fight in this kink bar, which I really enjoyed. It reminded me a lot of like a boss fight in Streets of Rage. Just this giant man being attacked on all sides by these tiny people. At least they look tiny compared to him. But then John Matuzak grabs the guy who is being led around by a chain, grabs the chain, and starts swinging him around the dance floor like a mace and just clearing folks out. Bodies flying everywhere. It's incredible. But he can't keep that up forever. More people pile on top of him. And then all of a sudden, for some reason, Charles Napier and Robert Tessier bust in and help him out. They jump in and help him out.
Hey, that ain't fair. Come on. Hey, buddy.
Three of them exit the bar. John Matuzak is thanking them for jumping in and saving him. And then they make a joke about Iowa.
Thanks for jumping in.
Hey, what the hell do we know? We're from Iowa.
We ought to be thanking you. Hell, I can't remember the last time I had so much fun.
But they have like this little masculine bonding moment over beating up a bunch of people in a bar together. But wouldn't you know it, they're not his friends. They've been sent to kick his ass and tell him he's getting too close.
Hey, see you around.
Let me get another one in there.
But this is John Matuzak, 6'8", 280 pounds, 21-inch biceps, 55-inch chest. He is not going to stay down. He turns the tables on them, but then the Mexican drug lord comes out of nowhere with his car, tries to run him over, misses him, so John Matuzak jumps in his car and starts following him.
Where's that son of a bitch?
And he follows him to an apartment building, a shitty apartment building, where again, he is noticed immediately.
Yo, freeze!
There's like 30 guys after him in this apartment building. They all have guns. So he starts banging on this lady's door like, help me, help me, help me.
Please, I need help. Please, I need help. Let me in.
She lets him in, and to help him, she strips him down, puts him in her bed, strips her clothes off because the bad guys with the guns, are trying to get into her apartment to see if he's in there. And she comes running out and she's like, get out of here, I have a John. You're interrupting my business. Beat it. And they're convinced, almost, they have to hang around to make sure they're really gonna do the deed. And they trick them like this.
Man, let me look in there, man.
And here's another example of the framing issue, because John Matuzak is so big, and this woman, she's a grown woman standing next to him, looks like a child.
Thanks.
I think you better wait a while.
I can't. I'm after somebody.
It's just silly. So then he goes back to the bar house. Sharon Farrell's there. She's losing her mind. She's cracking up. When he walks in, she thinks it's her dead husband, lover, boyfriend, whoever he was. And she's crying and emotional. And she also lets him know that, hey, that guy that you thought was the Rockstar Girl's manager that paid you $5,000, yeah, that wasn't her manager. You better go talk to this guy, find out what the hell's going on.
That guy lied to you. He's not the Rockstar's manager. This guy is.
So he breaks into this guy's house, and wouldn't you know it, the dude's dead. And while he's staring at this dead body, instead of getting the fuck out of there, 2 cops come in and tell him to freeze. And who are those 2 cops? Holy shit, it's Charles Napier and Robert Tessier. They're cops.
Freeze.
And they arrest him for murder.
Make a move. I'll blow your head off.
Cut to, now John Matuzak is in jail, and he's talking to Ronnie Cox. And this scene really showcases how not good the acting is in this movie. And I don't 100% fault the actors for that, because they're not given the best material. And also, for some reason, especially during this scene, but he does it in other parts of the movie, the director will do these long takes, these oneers of these dialogue exchanges, and they're these wide shots of 2 characters just delivering dialogue back and forth. And it drags the movie down. It makes it so boring.
I'm a licensed private investigator. Was hired to find the rock star. By who? The dead guy. He said he was a manager, gave me $5,000.
He's not her manager.
I know. That's why I went to see him. But he was dead when I got there. Whoever killed Pete is involved with that kidnapping.
You got any proof?
I'm working on it.
You have these fabulous character actors, and even they cannot make your material not suck. Ronnie Cox can't even pull this off.
Any proof I killed that guy? I'm working on it. Come on, let's get out.
But what Ronnie Cox can do is pull some strings and get his murder arrest to kind of go away. He gets released on his own recognizance.
So you damn well better keep out of trouble. And since your client is dead, I expect you to stay away from this kidnapping case.
But who's waiting out front to give John Matuzak a ride home? It's the son character. And they get this little weird bonding moment with each other because evidently the son told the hoodlum friends, I'm not hanging out with you anymore. I'm not buying drugs from you anymore. I just say no. And so they beat the shit out of him. And John Matuzak's like, hey, I got the shit beat out of me too. And it's a bonding moment for them.
Ronnie, they may have got us down, but we're gonna come back harder and faster next time. Coach said, they knock you down, get right back up, and make them knock you down again.
All right.
And it's just really awkward. But John Matuzak is gonna straighten this kid out, show him the ropes, show him how to fight, show him how to be a brawler. So we get a training montage.
Combination. Yeah, good. Getting it. Yeah. There you go. Come on, hurt me.
And John Matuzak is stepping up. He's stepping into that fatherly role left vacant by his dead partner. Cut to John Matuzak. He's gonna follow some more people, try to blend in, and he tracks the two cops, Charles Napier and Robert Tessier, tracks them to this office building where there's this company called Trinity Investment Group. And this time, at least, he tries a little harder to blend in. He finds a disguise. And at 39 minutes and 50 some seconds, we finally get a glimpse of Richard Lynch.
He wants to negotiate.
That is who these two cops, these two guys have come to meet with at this company. John Matuzak doesn't get noticed this time. By the grace of God, he does not get found out. So he leaves and he does some detective work. He goes to another office building, to this computer tech guy, and he looks up all about Trinity Investment Corporation, all the different businesses that they own. And it turns out they own the management company for the rock star chick.
That's the company that manages Leah Jennings.
Oh, yeah, it's a shame about her getting kidnapped. She's hot.
And then they look at all the other companies that Trinity owns and they deduce from all this information that this corporation is a front. These are a bunch of shell companies. They're laundering money, and they're laundering money for South American cartels. It's drug money.
Got your own lawyers and your own accountants, a piece of cake.
And you're all set.
And so he's like, who's the big cheese here? Like, who's running the show? Who's at the top of this pyramid? So the guy clickety-clacks, and he brings up the name J. Raleigh Adams. And they recognize that name. It's Richard Lynch. But J. Raleigh Adams is evidently some super mega powerful, rich, into politics. He's an important man. So John Matuzak goes to spy on him at this fundraiser dinner. And again, gets noticed. He is peeking down from a tiny little window down into this, like, ballroom type of setting. And Richard Lynch and his dude spot him from down there.
Thank you. I certainly want to thank Jay for the wonderful job they've done. But most of all, I want to thank all of you. You've given a wonderful effort, and it's one that's felt throughout the United States.
That's how conspicuous he is. So John Matuzak starts tracking the two cops again. And I really like this little sequence because we get some shots of late 1980s Sunset Boulevard, the rock clubs, all that kind of stuff, which I always enjoy. Always like seeing that stuff. But he tracks them to this futuristic looking nightclub. And the two cops are there to meet the big cartel leader, Santiago. And he's seated there with his coked up girlfriend. And it turns out Santiago is the one that kidnapped the rock star chick.
Santiago, he wants the girl now.
I'll return her safely as soon as he pays us our share.
Adams and his people are laundering all the drug money for him, but they want like a better return after the washing is done. So they're like, we're gonna take the rock chick, so you give us more of our money back. I think that's what's going on. And he doesn't get noticed here, or at least he thinks he doesn't, even though he's standing at the edge of the bar. This giant man in a red leather Adidas coat. But wouldn't you know it, the Mexican drug lord shows up and takes a briefcase from Santiago. So our two storylines have merged. The kidnapping of the rock star chick and the who set them up for his partner to get killed. So he follows the Mexican drug lord down to the docks, because it all goes down on the docks. And who is he meeting there? Oh, it's the informant that double-crossed him.
Well, if it isn't our old friend Chico.
And John Matuzak is trying to sneak around to get a better view, and he can't even sneak around the docks without making noise. So the business is done on the docks, and John Matuzak starts following the Mexican drug lord again. But wouldn't you know it, he was seen, and they know he was there. And so the informant, Chico, and some other guy with a big gun speed up and start chasing him, knocking into him, and we get a spectacular little car chase in this movie. And at some point during this chase, John Matuzak kind of turns the tables and he becomes the aggressor. And it turns into almost a horror movie because these two dudes in the other car are legitimately terrified. I would be too, because John Matuzak has lost his mind. Hulk angry.
It's him, man! Shoot him! Shoot him! I'm gonna get you, Chico!
And also what this car chase does, because it ends in a spectacular explosion. This scene made me realize that I'm watching a movie with some really amazing stunt work in it. Some really, truly amazing stunt work in it. And this was just the half of it. We're only halfway there. The car goes airborne and explodes. And I do feel kind of bad for the stunt people because this was not shot well. This whole sequence was not shot well at the end. The explosion and the crash. So John Matuzak just hangs around the scene until the cops get there. This cop who is 1, on suspension, and 2, was just released on murder charges to his own recognizance. And he's hanging around at this fucking car explosion where 2 people are dead. At least 2 people are dead. And Ronnie Cox is there. And right now all he is trying to do is to keep the Hulk from smashing.
Jake, it's tough to lose a partner. The review board knows that. I want you to follow regulations. See the department psychiatrist. Get into the rehab program.
He's trying to keep the beast calm. He is Scarlett Johansson, Black Widow.
Hey, big guy. Sun's getting real low.
But it doesn't work. It doesn't work. John Matuzak is really, really pissed now. And he goes stomping off.
Forget it, Mac! That's gonna happen!
We get another training montage because now John Matuzak and the son character both need to kick someone's ass. And they show John Matuzak just walloping this body bag. And I cannot imagine how much damage those fists would do to an actual human being. So now we come to probably one of my favorite scenes. John Matuzak decides to go back to the fancy nightclub because he needs to find out some more information. And so he's sitting at the bar, and across the bar from him is Cocaine Girlfriend. Cocaine Girlfriend is sitting at the edge of the bar. And John Matuzak's big plan is he is going to execute a honeypot. John Matuzak is going to pull off the honeypot. So he is at the end of the bar just putting out the vibe. Just putting it out there. And Cocaine Girlfriend is digging it. She is picking up what he's putting down. We get this little exchange and this discussion of the proportion of things.
Never been with anyone as big as you.
And just imagine this. It's all proportional.
And so she takes him back to her place and they start getting a little freaky, start taking clothes off, and he's trying to pump her for information while she's trying to pump him. But wouldn't you know it, the lights flick on and there's the drug kingpin standing there. Because he was noticed! He was noticed the last time he came in that bar. They saw him coming from a mile away. Cocaine Girlfriend was told to bring him back.
She cost me a lot of money to keep her, but she comes in handy with nosy strangers.
And also, what the fuck was this song? What was this song? So he calls his goons in and they take him to some farm somewhere out in the country. And he wakes up in a barn, in a horse stall, and he's tied up to the rafters. And wouldn't you know it, 3 stalls down, guess who's there? It's the rock star chick.
I'm a cop. Are you all right?
I'm okay.
I've been looking for you.
But then some gang members arrive and they're trying to interrogate him, but he's not going to say anything. So they beat the living shit out of him. They're beating him with a fucking shovel. So they take him down, stick him in a wooden crate box like you would a bear you were gonna tag and then re-release into the wild. They throw him in a box and load him onto the back of a truck. And this is another one of my most favorite scenes from this movie. And another showcase of the amazing stunt work that's in this film. I don't know how they did this sequence, but they're careening down the Pacific Coast Highway in this small truck with this big box in the back, and John Matuzak wakes up, and now he's really pissed. With sheer brute force, he breaks out of the box, crawls around to the passenger side window, and one punches the dude sitting there. And I don't know how much of this sequence is John Matuzak, if they were able to find a stunt guy that looked big enough, because it's a big stunt guy. If it's a stunt guy, it's very, very impressive. There were a couple times where I'm like, how did nobody get hurt doing this? There's some very, very close calls. Because there's just a guy hanging on the back of a truck. At one point you can see he's got one little like safety strap, but a guy that big, that little strap is supposed to hold him, and they're just barreling down the coast of California. But John Matuzak jumps out of the truck right before it goes over the edge of the road and crashes and blows up spectacularly. here is where we get the one-liner to end all one-liners.
Damn, I forgot to bring my marshmallows.
And now it's time to catch up with our son character. See what's going on with him. How's he doing? Is he still off the pot? But we see him leaving school, and wouldn't you know it, the drug hoodlums, they spot him, and they're gonna beat him up again. They're gonna jump him again. But all that montage training has paid off, and this kid kicks all of their asses. And truth be told, this is actually one of the better fight sequences in the movie. Because this kid's no slouch. He knows a little bit about martial arts. And it's not just a couple of punches here, couple of punches there, like kid fight. No, there's levels to it, and there's some great choreography going on in it. And we have a full circle character arc moment with the son character. He has defeated his dependency on drugs, and he has defeated the drug dealers. He can stand on his own. He can hold his head high. And John Matuzak limps his way into Ronnie Cox's office because he's pretty fucked up at this point. He got beat up at the Blue Leather Bar. He got shoveled at a farm and thrown into a box, and then almost incinerated on the PCH. It's been a rough few days. So he comes into, I almost said Bogomil's office. No, he comes into Ronnie Cox's office and is like, I know where your rock star is. She's at this farm. You're welcome. And Ronnie Cox looks at him and just says,
Wrong again, Jake.
She's dead. We found her in a house. So they go to the house, and turns out she's not the only dead body there. Also dead are the cocaine girlfriend and the drug kingpin. And the cops are saying it was a double murder-suicide. And John Matuzak knows that something fishy is going on. He smells it. He smells something rotten.
No way. Why would Santiago bring her back here to kill her? He'd do it at the ranch. And he'd never commit suicide.
And so John Matuzak is like, I know what's going on here. I know who is responsible for all of this. It's J. Raleigh Adams. And you would have thought he said Voldemort the way Ronnie Cox reacts to this.
J. Raleigh Adams, Trinity Investments. Are you nuts?
But he's like, you have no evidence to suggest this. You have no probable cause. Shut the fuck up. But John Matuzak is not going to take that for an answer. No, he's going to go get that probable cause any way he can, even if he has to murder somebody.
You didn't have probable cause.
I got all the cause that I need.
So he goes and confronts the accountant. And he does this in a dark parking ramp. And the accountant is understandably terrified.
Jake Swan. Crazy cop.
That's right. I'm crazy.
You have a 6'8", 280-pound, 21-inch bicep, 55-inch chest human being coming at you out of the dark. And John Matuzak gets so angry. He gets so fed up with this dude, gets so pissed off at this man that he starts lecturing him about tax law.
Because you're lying through your teeth about your gross income. Half of those car washes aren't even operating.
So John Matuzak, to get this guy to talk, shoots his ear off and then just starts shaking and screaming at him.
Sing, motherfucker! Sing! Please, sing!
So he starts squealing like a pig. Tells him everything. Tells him that Adams is involved, that he's running the show, what he does for Adams, where the money comes in, where they hide it. Everything. He spills it. And rightfully so. I would too.
It's J. Raleigh Adams. Isn't it? Yes, yes, yes! I'm sorry. It's Adams. I'm so sorry. It's Adams. It's Adams. He did it. I'm so sorry.
So he's got his probable cause. He takes his probable cause back to Ronnie Cox, and Ronnie Cox is like, yeah, we can't use this, but I believe you now. So we need to figure out a way to get Adams on tape. We need to get admissible probable cause. So John Matuzak gets a bright idea. His bright idea is to blackmail Adams and get him to meet him at this foundry that Adams owns on the outskirts of town.
Set myself up on his own turf, make him look easy.
We're gonna get a foundry, a finale at the foundry, a foundry finale. Then we get like a little side quest sequence here. John Matuzak goes to a VCR repair shop and talks to a dude in a wheelchair named Sparky. And there's a throwaway line in this scene where Sparky's like, oh my gosh, we're the only two left from the unit. And I'm like, what unit? Was that a thing? Did they discuss that earlier? Was his partner in the unit?
I was just thinking about all the guys this morning. You and me are the only ones left in the squad, you know.
That is a trope in these gritty cop movies. There's always PTSD or they're a Vietnam vet that's having some issues. But that has never been addressed until this line. And not after it either. But he has Sparky construct some tripwire thing that's supposed to trigger something. We don't know yet. We'll have to wait and find out. But he's making a little sneaky trick. Sparky's getting sneaky. But now we are at the foundry. We are at the foundry finale. It's this huge place filled with a bunch of metal shit and some fire. It's a great place for a finale. But John Matuzak is outside in his car and they're testing the recording equipment, and Ronnie Cox is in his own car listening in, trying to monitor the situation so that he knows when to call in backup. And he also has a surprise. He tells John Matuzak he has a surprise for him. And that surprise is the LAPD battering ram vehicle. So they are ready to spring this trap. And who decides to finally fucking show his face again? Richard Lynch. He probably did his entire performance in a day, maybe half a day. Yes, Richard Lynch shows up, John Matuzak walks out of the fire, and they start having the exposition dump ending conversation. But wouldn't you know it, Charles Napier is there, and he's got a gun too.
Well, the rats are starting to show up.
You're fighting the natural order of things, Mr. Swan.
And so Richard Lynch is like, well, I'm sure this is the part where you call in the backup. You're kind of in deep shit here. You better call in your backup. I bet they won't come because I have a friend you don't know about. And out of the shadows walks Ronnie Cox. And John Matuzak doesn't realize, he doesn't get the joke right away. It takes him a minute.
Mac? Where's everybody else?
Just me, Jake.
So they search him and they pull out this extra recorder that Sparky had made for him. And Ronnie Cox breaks it. And when he breaks it, that's when the tripwire comes in and all hell breaks loose.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
There's people yelling over loudspeaker. There's a bunch of gunshots, explosions everywhere. And John Matuzak is able to break away. But wouldn't you know it, it's all fake. It was all Sparky. Sneaky Sparky.
It's a fake! It's a trick!
So they start going after John Matuzak, and the first person to bite it is Charles Napier. He takes a shotgun in the chest and then is electrocuted, which is fun. And Ronnie Cox bites it kind of brutally. It's a pretty brutal explosion that takes him out. And then he falls like 40 feet down to the steel floor.
Adios, Mac. That's for Pete.
Then Richard Lynch is on the phone or the walkie-talkie telling Robert Tessier to get the fuck in there.
Wilson, goddammit, get in here!
Because there's a giant man that's gonna kill him if he gets his hands on him. So he busts into the side of the Foundry in the LAPD battering ram. And he is not alone in there. Nope, he's not by himself because he has Sharon Farrell and the son character. So John Matuzak drops his gun. He gives up. Richard Lynch is like, I'm getting the fuck out of here. Kill these people.
Take care of them when I see them call.
But the son character hits Robert Tessier and distracts him for a minute so that John Matuzak can jump on top of him. And they proceed to have just an all-out slugfest. I love a slugfest. That's some of my favorite kind of fight scenes. You've got the hotel fight between Schwarzenegger and Bill Duke in Commando.
I eat green berets for breakfast. And right now I'm very hungry.
And of course, you have the legendary alley fight from They Live. Just a knockdown, drag out, haymaker fest. Until John Matuzak has had enough and grabs another large metal thing that keeps things cold and crushes him. He likes to kill people with fridges. And while this knockdown, drag-out fight has been going on, Sharon Farrell has Richard Lynch at gunpoint, and she's lost her fucking mind at this point.
Okay, Shirley.
He wouldn't pick it up.
It's okay.
He wouldn't pick it up.
Give me the gun.
But Richard Lynch takes off running with the gun. He just wants to get the fuck out of there because he knows what'll happen to him if John Matuzak gets a hold of him, and he doesn't want to be folded in half. So he chases him all the way upstairs and through catwalks. If you came into the movie at this point with no context, you would think Richard Lynch is trying to escape some crazed madman killer, because John Matuzak is completely unhinged at this point.
You got it all figured out, don't you? Except for one thing. You're basing everything on civilized people in a civilized world.
And it gets extremely menacing. Like, John Matuzak is just like slowly coming towards him and telling him all the awful things he's done.
Drugs, crooked cops, murder, torture, kidnapping.
It is a horror movie. It has turned into a horror movie.
Your world isn't civilized. Your world is going insane.
He's chasing him up a ladder.
You're mine, sucker. You're not getting away this time, sucker.
He corners Richard Lynch at the very top of this foundry. There's nowhere else to go. He is a cat up a tree, and John Matuzak is just still coming. He's unstoppable. And I'm not sure what happened here when Richard Lynch dies. I don't know, because John Matuzak is like pulling on his leg and screaming and you know. And Richard Lynch is screaming rightfully because he knows he's about to die. And I don't know if John Matuzak flung him from the top of the building or if Richard Lynch was like, I don't want to get my arms ripped off, so I'm just gonna jump off the top of this foundry. Either way, he does a header. All the way down, there's some ropes that kind of get tangled up in his feet. He hits the end of that, maybe 3 feet off the ground, and swings into a raging fire and explodes into flames. So he's just swinging, screaming on fire as he's dying. It's quite impressive. And we get another attempt at a one-liner from John Matuzak.
Should have joined a circus.
So John Matuzak walks out of the building. Sharon Farrell and the son character, who are still handcuffed, run up to him. Oh, happy, happy. They're going to be a family now. They're going to go back to their home bar, their bar home. There's all these weird little moments throughout this movie, mostly with the family dynamic stuff, where the dialogue is just really awkward and weird. And this ending scene does not disappoint.
Hey, you gonna take these cuffs off or what?
I got you where I want you now. What do you say, Shirley? Should we leave him on him for a while?
What does that mean? But that's the end of the movie. All the bad guys are dead and burning or crushed by a refrigeration device. Jake Swan is triumphant. Now, coming to the end of this movie, you know, it was very hard at the beginning of this film to tell whether this was going to be enjoyable bad or just excruciatingly bad. But there is so much stuff to like about this movie on a bad movie level. It hits a lot of the squares on the bad movie bingo card. It's got well-known character actors, the writing is bad, the directing is bad, the acting is bad. There's incredible stunt work in this, a ridiculous plot, silly music, and it stars a guy that's 6'8", 280 pounds, 21-inch bicep, 55-inch chest. Because the sheer size of John Matuzak affected the shooting of this film, and it's very evident how it affected it, because trying to get him into frame with other actors and other set pieces caused a lot of issues and a lot of problems with how this movie was shot. I mean, there's certain instances where they're trying to get him in as much frame as possible, so they're having to shoot up at him from the far corner of the room, which just makes him look even bigger. For this type of character, you need someone who can blend in, etc. And a giant man mountain cannot do that. But bless his heart, he's really trying, he's really giving it his all.
Who the hell do you think you are? I'm a cop!
But my big disappointment about this movie, the thing that really keeps me from this being like a regular watch, is that they just throw away the fact that they had Richard Lynch. They do nothing with him. If this movie had a big bad over the top villain, it would be damn near perfect good bad movie. So I think this is one of my movies that I would recommend to people. I don't know if it's streaming anywhere, but there is a copy out there on YouTube. I will put the link below so you can go watch it for yourselves and decide. This would be a really fun one to watch with a group of people because there's so much silliness, but also awesome things going on in this movie. It's a good one for a group. So yes, go check out One Man Force.
One Man Force.
Well, that's gonna do it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Hopefully this will become a regular thing. Every once in a while, I'll just randomly grab a tape or a disc off the shelf. I'll watch it and I'll come tell you guys all about it. So until next time, this is Lindsay signing off. I'll check you later.